Welcome to another episode of Conversate, a podcast where we engage in conversation. In this week's episode, I, Kevin Bender, am joined by special guest Sam Kilpela, fellow drummer and occasional worship leader here at St. Peter and Paul in Houghton, Michigan. Now, this week, we're engaging in a conversation about Easter. We'll talk about the Easter story, its impact on our lives, and what it means to rise. We hope you enjoy it. Good to see you, Sam.
Good to see you there, Kevin.
How you doing today, man?
It's been a good day. Yeah, I'm on spring break right now, and had some slow days at home. We've been just enjoying time together as a family, and yeah, it's kind of nice to have this slow time during Holy Week that we can kind of step back and take some time to recover, rest, and enjoy some sunshine.
Totally, the sun is shining today. Looks gorgeous outside. We're recording this the day after that little snow flurry we had on Wednesday?
March 31st.
That's right, it's April Fool's Day.
Today.
I haven't been fooled yet, so hopefully not in this holy hour. Sam.
No, my daughter Paula she woke up and was like, April Fool's, like this is her first time ever understanding it, and she was like, what are we doing today? And I was like, I'm not quite sure. And she's like, what April Fool's did you do when you were a kid? And I was like, I don't know. I couldn't really remember many good ones.
I was hoping you would be like, I have no idea what we're doing today. And she'd be like, oh, and then be like, no, I have a whole plan. April Fool's, gotcha. And then you'd be like, no, I actually don't though. April Fool's.
That'd have gone on for a while.
I'm not a big April Fool's guy, I'll be honest, Sam. I'm too gullible. I have memories of April Fool's Day. I remember one year, my friend Adam Tigner, I was probably in like 8th grade. They at Sunday school they do these giveaways if you had like perfect attendance, and there was these things called testaments.
Oh man!
And they were mints with a little Bible verse on them. That was the coveted prize. All right. Yep. I remember Adam. He came over to my house. We lived in the parsonage. My dad's a pastor, so we're like 100 feet from the church. Mm-hmm. And he comes over and he's like, dude, Kev, you gotta go over here. They're doing perfect attendance. Their name just got called. There's only like one package of testaments left. So I got all hurried, got all ready. I was apparently behind that day. Sprinted over there all excited, get my testaments. And I get in there, they're not doing that at all. It's just a normal day. April Fools.
April Fools.
April Fools. So I guess I'm a fool, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe people too. So I guess I could be fooled pretty easily too.
All right, well, we'll stick close.
All right.
Watch each other's backs. Well, yeah, so folks at home listening, I'm here today with my friend, Mr. Sam Kilpela, longtime listener of the podcast, devoted fan, and fellow drummer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. If you don't know, Sam also plays in our praise band. He's led worship. You've probably seen Sam Kilpela. If you're watching, you're looking at him right now. He just waved if you're listening.
Yeah, yep, I was waving.
And we're kind of here today to unpack and talk about the resurrection, Easter Sunday. This episode's coming to you after we just worshiped this past weekend. This celebration, and it's funny that we're talking about on April Fool's Day because the resurrection. I don't know. Like, does it feel like something that's kind of like a gotcha?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, it is so. They go looking for him, and he's not there. Jesus shared and predicted and prophesied this, but it was still like, guess what? I'm not here. And I mean, what an amazing thing. And I mean, that's what our faith and Christian, it's based on, that resurrection. And it's such a major part of it. It's what it is.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it's a good point. Actually, I remember when I was getting interviewed to go to the seminary, so like kind of an entrance interview, they ask you, just some general question about basically what your faith built on, what's your hope. And so of course, everyone generally talks about Jesus dying on the cross, it's pretty big. But what I learned after the interview was they smiled when I was giving my answer when I brought up the resurrection. And after the interview, they told me, you'd be surprised how many people forget to talk about.
They just said Jesus died for you.
Jesus died for me.
Jesus died, yeah.
Yeah, which we talk about a lot.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
we don't wear.
Jesus died for your sins.
Yeah, we don't wear empty tomb necklaces,
No,
right?
yeah.
Cross necklaces and.
Hey, wow, I never kind of thought about that.
Yeah, but without the resurrection,
Yep.
the whole dying thing is kind of not so good.
Right.
You know, if he's just like a martyr, there's been other people in history who have, spurred on movements, who died, and it made this massive impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because all the things they said and preached and taught.
Sure. Went to the point of, laid down their life for their cause. I mean, that is, what more can you give?
Right.
So, yeah.
Exactly. But if that's all it was, then it's like, well, okay, Jesus is just another Martin Luther King Jr. or, another Gandhi or, pick your poison. But yeah, so the resurrection, it's essential.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious to hear from you, Sam, just when it comes to Easter, like, I don't know, do you remember it all? Like, at what point could you begin to say that this is the epicenter of our faith, Like, is there any sense of, as you're growing and getting older and maturing in your faith, like, or a time maybe when it hit home and it was like, boom, okay, yeah, I get why this is so important. Because I'm assuming you didn't come out of the womb just like empty tomb.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a church, attending home in a Christian household, and Easter was an important celebration every year, and growing up reading the Word and attending Sunday school, and it was a part of life. It was just a part of my faith. But I think probably when it started really hitting home, or I maybe started understanding, I think it wasn't until I think I was maybe in college, and at that point when you're starting to become an adult, you're starting to become independent, you're starting to establish your own, I guess your own thoughts and beliefs, where up to this point I just got in the vehicle with my folks and went with them. But now it would be like, I would have to make that conscious decision myself to go to be intentional about my actions, and then further to be intentional about my beliefs. And then I attended Michigan Tech, and I think there with my friends and I'd say more my teammates. I ran cross country at Michigan Tech. I was a physics major. I didn't feel like I connected with a lot of those folks. Physicists and like faith don't, like, that Venn diagram seems like oftentimes doesn't intersect much. With like creationism versus how the Big Bang, and just physicists looking at, they're like, God doesn't really fit into that equation. And so I think I was faced with, that was the point where I started facing I had to maybe explain what I believed, and sometimes it sounded silly. Like they'd be like, so what do you, and I'd be like, yeah, this is my faith. And I think that's when the devil really puts those thoughts and doubts in your mind that, this, like you said, like this whole resurrection thing and Jesus dying and this old book, I think early in my faith, and I'd say that's early in my faith walk, is like when I started really, owning it. Yeah. That's when it started meaning something to me. And I remember one random Good Friday. So at Michigan Tech, they had this thing called MTU Idol for a couple years.
Awesome.
I think it maybe went for 2 or 3 years. That was the time I was there, and I saw it. I played guitar.
Were you the MTU Idol?
Well, no.
Oh, man.
And don't,
You're my MTU Idol now.
And it was basically American Idol at MTU. And
okay.
It was about as dorky as you could imagine. They had auditions. I sang a song. I got in.
Nice.
I think I made it through a couple rounds. But it was Good Friday. It was interesting because it was, I think, the church I attended at the time, I think we had a Good Friday service at 1 p.m. And I think it was about the time that this MTU Idol was going on. And at that time, I would have still gone to that service. And it was it was a small crowd. It was not, I'm not gonna lie and say I was talking to the whole campus there. Small crowd gathered there. I think at that point we maybe had a half day. I think recently that's gone away now. I don't think there's any Good Friday time off at Tech. I could be wrong. You guys could correct us, but
feel free to message in, mail in any comments.
Let us know.
We'll edit the show.
And so I think I said something about. I had a song that I sang, and I think it had some. It's a Finnish song actually. I can't remember the name of it even, but it had something to do with. It was a Christian song, and that it had a faith message. Maybe not point blank, but I did mention that today. It's a fitting day today on Good Friday, and I remember being like, I'm going to say this to a bunch of people, and some of my friends were there, and maybe they weren't that familiar with my faith, and so I guess the long answer is in college it started meaning
wow. Yeah,
it started meaning quite a bit to me. So
that's an incredible answer, man. I'm seriously like that. I don't know. Be interested to hear from some of our folks, listening in. But just from my own experience, it's my job to go up and speak in front of groups of people, about Jesus. But I'm generally speaking to people who are already kind of in on, the whole deal. Yep. Hopefully, every now and then we get some folks who are new to it, and it's like, wow, that's a sweet opportunity. But man, when I was in college, You were leagues ahead of me, my friend. I was like, I needed someone to come witness. I needed to go to MTU Idol and hear and be like, oh yeah, Good Friday. That's pretty cool, man. That you had the opportunity to.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It was this moment that I was like, it kind of was like, I was like, wow, here I am not going to Good Friday service, and it was. That's when it started to hit me. I'm like. Yeah, this is something that I really do value, and this is what I believe in, and it's kind of going into that weekend, Good Friday into Saturday, and then Resurrection Sunday, and
yeah. Well, and interesting like that dynamic, which I think you're drawing out of like, here's people worshiping on a Good Friday, this death of a guy who everyone hated at the time, essentially, right? Yep. And on the other side here we have our American cultural MTU Idol.
I mean, American... as cliche, like if you want to, MTU Idol, put all those things together.
Right. Yeah. Just how
or a culture promotes and what we think and what we're searching for.
Right. Exactly. And at the same time, it sounds to me, I hear your story, and it's like you're toting that line of, because we're also called to be in the world.
Yeah.
We're not called to cloister ourselves away from it.
Absolutely.
But to actually engage with the world. And some of my favorite bands are actually the ones who do have a more implicit faith message.
Yeah.
Because I think that's generally, at least from some of the artists I've heard, their goal is basically, look, we want people who don't believe in Jesus to be listening to us.
Absolutely.
And if we're, and there's a place I think for all those types of music, but but it's really neat when, you got a friend who's jamming to a band and you're like, you know what he's talking about? Mm-hmm. And you can drop that knowledge bomb. It's like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those lyrics are, that's like that word, like in music, and that's such a powerful thing because it really, hearing spoken word versus, word that's sung, it's, that's how our brain, it's that added dimension of music to it that really sticks in and it gets in a new way. And I was working at a Finnish language camp and teaching these kids Finnish, we would just do songs.
Oh, sure.
And so singing it, and that's it's such a way that you pick it up and you learn it. And so, to learn through song is such an awesome way. And so, that those messages in that music can be really powerful. Yeah.
Did they videotape this, Sam? MTU Idol?
Oh man,
how do I get a hold of the tapes?
I know, right? This was,
what years are we talking?
What am I? I'm in my 30s now, so this was, over a decade ago, and so this is pre
All right, 2009. I'll go check.
I don't know when did YouTube become being a big
question.
thing? Was YouTube really?
It was when I was in college, which was around that time as well. Oh yeah, we got to come back to this, Sam.
Okay.
I mean, if you're okay sharing your age.
Yeah.
I think you already did.
Yeah, 35. So and I graduated in 2009. I'm just trying to think when could you start looking stuff up on YouTube?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's on YouTube.
like YouTube was definitely around then.
Yeah.
But I think it was in those early stages where it's a real niche thing.
You recorded on a camera.
Oh yeah.
You plugged that camera into a desktop. You uploaded it.
That's right. Yeah, gosh.
Like 3 hours later, the video is
still uploading.
Yeah.
Times have changed.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so I want to circle back just briefly to make one comment on because you mentioned this tension of at tech and with this physicists and faith.
Yeah.
Something like faith and science or faith and reason.
Yes.
Seem like things that are combative.
Oh, I know.
And I just heard a message. It was really interesting. It was about it was an Easter message. So just kind of getting in this mode of Easter and listening to the sermon, and it's in John's account. So over the weekend we would have heard Mark's account, chapter 16 of the resurrection. But all four Gospels, of course, mention the resurrection. And in John's account, we hear Peter and John kind of race into the tomb, right?
Yep.
And John outruns Peter because John's like the young gun. He's the one that outlives all the other disciples, actually, like as history goes on. But it says that Peter looked in the tomb, and this is what the pastor of this message was saying. Peter looked at the tomb and saw, but the word for saw, like, and looked into the tomb that the Greek uses is not the normal like vision, which is some Greek word blepo, to see. Mm-hmm. It's actually the Greek word that means to theorize. To theorize. Because so Peter's looking into this tomb, and things aren't adding up. Because if it's if it's grave robbers, why are the linens with all the expensive ointments and death? Spices and all that. Why are those still in the tomb? So that doesn't make sense. If it's other followers of Jesus, why also leave the clothes? Like, why wouldn't you take those and have them? They would be important to you. So he's trying to figure out like what is actually going on here, and so the point of the message, at least part of this Easter message, was that sometimes we view faith and reason as combative, but there's actually a lot of like historical evidence for the resurrection. I mean, for one, you have a bunch of eyewitness accounts documenting this. Paul in Corinthians, which we did here over the weekend, he names a bunch of people. He's like, look, if you want to talk to somebody, go talk to this guy, talk to this dude, talk to myself. We're all witnesses of this resurrection. Because Jesus, appeared to a number of people after, and so I mean that's one bit, but then you also just have the fact that like Christianity is what it is today. At the time, right, it's a bunch of Jews following Jesus around. They believed in monotheism. They believed one God, which is why the Pharisees were all ticked off at Jesus in the first place. Well, I forgot this. Where was I looking? I was looking at a piece of artwork that someone was showing me, and I was like, "Oh, why has he got that thing on his head?" It was the yarmulke, right? Is that what it's called, right? The little hat.
So, yeah.
I was like, "Oh, that's right. There are Jews," which is like so bad on me. Like, I should know this. This is my profession. But anyway, so these are Jews following Jesus, and they actually believe that he is God. That's like unprecedented for that belief system, that worldview.
Sure.
So for that to change, it would have had to have been something out of this world, essentially. And of course, we follow in their footsteps and say, yeah, we believe that.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, that was I ranted there for a bit, but
no, I mean that's something that faith and belief and science and that those kind of conflicting things and those things that go at odds. I myself as a believing Christian and someone that teaches physics, that I like embrace like I love teaching physics. I love studying how things work and learning about everything, and I think it just shows God's amazing wonder in creation in all of us. And I just, it to me, it's just to see how just incredible everything is, and like I'll just drop those things in the classroom sometimes, kind of as like can you believe that this is how, something like the moon is 400 times as farther away but 400 times smaller than the sun, so it's like its angular diameter matches the sun, right? And it's just one of those things I'm like, isn't that crazy how perfectly that is, you know? Just like that, I'm like, it's awesome. It's such a great, you know, like I think the Lord's created such an amazing universe and creation and world. And so, yeah, I think it's just like to show God's creation and yeah, so.
Yeah, it's good to embrace it. I think, embrace the tension with it.
Yes,
you know, and I think there are times. Well, in history, there were times too, right, when it seemed like faith and science were contradicting each other, right?
Right. I mean, Copernicus and like all all the models of the solar system as they developed. You know, and that's taking Earth from the center and putting the sun and like this heliocentric, geocentric theories. I mean, there's church was persecuting people for making observations.
Yeah. Oh man.
And so there's a bad track record there, but absolutely.
Yeah, people are dying over this, man, and they're dying because they're speaking the truth.
Yeah.
This is the crazy thing to me too. Is
right.
I mean, Jesus says, "I am the truth."
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that's a comfort to us when it comes to science. Like let's be excited about what we discover.
Yeah.
This is God's world.
Yeah.
You know, and if we discover something new that we didn't know formerly. That we know a little bit more about how God designed it all.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, not to be like seeking the truth in it, but to kind of be seeing God's work and design and understanding it. And yeah, I mean, to me, like mathematical models, I'm just like, I just love them because we can predict where rocks hurling in space are going to be exactly, and then blast something off Earth, and months later they land there. And it's like, yeah, that was perfect. You guys figured it out. Like it kind of shows like that, like a
design.
The design, like the perfect periods of all the things and just how it all works. And I think it's just so amazing. And and for us, I think we just like when we start to look at how it all works, we're just unpacking it and learning a little more on how it all. It's been created, so
yeah. I think there's some psalm out there that says, or maybe it's a New Testament letter, but something about the heavens declare your majesty, basically.
Yeah.
So outer space. So, I mean, and now we're really. This is recent that we're digging into all that stuff,
right?
I mean, like actually getting out there and seeing it.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I wanted to be an astronaut. That was kind of my dream. So felt a little short of the stars, but. Hopefully I'm doing all right at my current occupation. Okay. So you're a teacher, Sam. You teach physics. I think it's cool that you're weaving in your faith with that as well and dropping these prods to the kids.
Sure, yeah.
Basically, hey, think about your world, But you're also a father to 3 hilarious kiddos. I guess with the jury's out on Timo, he hasn't joked around with me too much yet, but Stina and Paola, pretty funny. I'm sure Timo will be funny.
Yeah. Timo's a big smiler. Yeah. He is.
How has that been, like to be a father when it comes to the resurrection? Like for Paola, for Stina, are they, do they kind of get what's going on? Is that something that you see kind of their light bulbs going off? What's it like being a dad and seeing your kids? You were kind of formed in the church, and your parents took you, and but now you have this opportunity to feed into your own kids.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
I mean, it's a whole new level of when as a parent and looking at what your kids are learning. I mean, it's undescribable until you experience it, of how the responsibility and the what's the word? Kind of like how intentional all of a sudden you get about, and I'm thinking, it's these are my kids, and I want to prepare them. I want them to love Jesus, and I think you start to. One thing that's come out of it is you start to realize how intense the Old Testament was.
Oh, yeah.
You get these kids' Bibles. You kind of get the ones where it's like, this one's for the baby. It's like 4 pages long, 4 cardboard pages long.
Yeah.
And, it's like creation, Moses, something about the Gospels. And then you get to next one where it's like a little bit more. And recently, we've got some kids' picture Bibles that are like, over 100 pages long, and it's
Oh, wow.
it's starting to get into
Yeah.
some of the hardships of the world, and there was some bloody battles,
No kidding.
some
Yeah.
conflict, and like even on Sunday too, this past Sunday when there was in the service, we saw a clip of a video of Jesus carrying the cross and collapsing, and then Simon picking it up, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is some hard stuff. And Amanda and I, as we parent and as we teach our children about what Jesus did, we've come to realize that it's really intense, and the world and our earth there's some bad stuff that goes on, and we need Jesus, and to kind of come to grips with our sinful selves and what happens, and so they've picked, like, they pick up on that quick. They're like, wait, why is this happening? Or what's, they want to, can you read that book about that one angry, or that story about the angry guy and all this? And yeah, you really have to start to navigate that and kind of get real with them quick.
Sure.
And so yeah, I want to shelter and be like, let's get to the picture of Jesus holding the lambs and the sheep and people cuddling, or just like, that's the nice part. But we also have to tell the true story and what we're saved from, and
wow,
and why we need Jesus, and why the resurrection does matter. And so I think kind of maybe becoming an adult is one part of your faith walk, but then becoming a parent too that is definitely another step where you kind of again start to maybe evaluate your beliefs, or kind of check in, or you have to share in a new way, and I don't know. Yeah,
kids are going to keep you on your toes if nothing else, right? They're going to ask questions that's like maybe we're not asking ourselves.
Yes, They bring up things that you're like, maybe. Yeah, so prompts. Yeah, it's a new prompt. It's a new era, and it's good. It's awesome, and it's not easy.
Yeah, and
it's new challenges.
That's really what stands out to me, man, as you talk about it is, and I love the way you said it, like that this also is the point of the resurrection. Like we talked about, we can't just have Jesus on the cross and dead.
Yeah.
With no resurrection, that's fruitless. But you can't just have the resurrection either. And man, I think you're right. Like just in general, when I think about, I don't know, just how humans tend to behave, it's not like we're on social media posting about our junk. We're not airing out our dirty laundry.
Right.
It's hard to talk about. I mean, even to talk about things going on in the world right now. I keep seeing stuff about like George Floyd, and thinking back to last summer.
It's been really come up again now
because that
trial
trial
is happening.
Exactly, and that's not an easy conversation for a lot of reasons.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about people's feelings about violence, and that's. So with kids, that's kind of tough, but that's just the first step for us. We're talking about racism and corruption, and it's going to get politicized, of course, just immediately. And but this also seems to be what God calls us to, right? To, Jesus, right? Take up your cross and follow me, right? He doesn't tell us, don't look at this. Don't pay attention to this hard stuff. Try to only just have this good, happy stuff. No, Jesus is pretty raw. God's pretty raw about like the reality of life, and that's not easy. But it's also, to me, he wouldn't be God if he didn't address those things.
Yeah.
If he didn't come kind of point blank and make you grapple with the tough stuff that we go through in life, and
for an unbeliever that's struggling, and I think that's really important that we got to realize is those are the places we got to go, and if that's the struggle that someone has, and we all have. Not to say as a Christian now, I mean, as a Christian, I'm not part of the world anymore. I am the world. I am someone that continues to struggle, and
sure.
But yeah, for sure. I mean, it's something that.
It's our. I mean, I think it's really the connection, that we have with all humanity.
Yes.
Look, you can't go immediately to a non-believer. If you go right to your unbelieving friend and just start dropping spiritual lingo and biblical, it's gonna be like. But you talk about a struggle you're going through, well, they'll relate.
Absolutely.
They'll get it because they have struggles too. I think of this as kind of a goofy analogy or a goofy illusion, but I really love the Dark Knight trilogy. So fun fact about Pastor Kevin. Christopher Nolan, amazing director. If you're listening, you are amazing, sir. Love your movies. Prestige, it's a great one. But in the Dark Knight, so the Dark Knight, if you don't know, it's about Batman. So this is a story of Batman, and when Bruce Wayne is this little boy, I love this in the movie. It's a little flashback, right? I don't know if it's when he falls down the well, because he falls down the well. That's after his parents are dead. Sorry, spoiler alert. Yeah. Batman's parents die. That's why he wants to fight crime. But at some point in the movie...
There's a lot more that still happens, too.
Yeah. That's just the preface. Yeah. But no, at some point in the movie, Bruce Wayne, Batman, when he's a little kid, he falls. And his dad comes by, and Bruce is kind of, he's crying a little bit. It's great Disney. His dad says, Bruce, why do we fall down? And then Bruce answers, clearly because he's been trained by his father to say this, so that we can get back up again. And the word resurrection, like in the Greek, it's this word anastasis, and it literally just means to stand up. To stand up. And that, to me, this is also kind of this beauty of the resurrection, is that, we talk about it a lot as life after death. Of course it is. Of course it is. It was for Jesus, and he's the first fruit, so it happened for him. It's going to happen to all those who believe in him. But we got so many other resurrections, right? So many other Easter moments in our lives because we have all sorts of falling downs,
Oh, yeah.
Even at the beginning of our worship services, every week, it's confession, absolution, right? We recognize our slip-ups and our fall downs and being, I am the world, right? Like, I'm a part of the world, but then God gives us that resurrection piece, and the beauty of it too, of the gospel is that it's not a I have to be so strong that I always get up, but actually that God is kind of, he's grabbing us by our shirt collars and helping us get, right back on our feet, and even if that comes through, what seems like our own strength. Yeah. So I think people in the world, they might think, well, you just gotta be tough, you gotta be hard, right. But I mean, God's giving you strength anyway,
No, and I think that's so important to recognize too. That you see the sea of self-help. You see kind of this prosperity gospel type of movements on where it starts. You can look in a lot and look at what you're doing wrong and how you can improve, and then how you can kind of pick yourself up too, and that can seem attractive too, because you can think, oh wow, these are the things that I can do to get to this place.
Our ego loves it.
Yes, and I mean, there's things we do to, improve our lives. Not saying. I just
kick back, relax,
let it all go. But
God wants to mature us. He's growing us. He wants us to kind of be disciplined.
Right. Yeah. So that's to know that we get up because God can maybe God's part of that helps us get up, and maybe the reason why we know we can get up. And, sometimes we're down in a dark place, and that's sometimes it's the only reason why we're like, wow, we can move on from this, whatever it might be that we're dealing with and going through.
Yeah, the resurrection kind of, it's like every other little resurrection we have.
Yeah, I like that. To know that resurrect is to stand up.
Yep. Yeah. So actually, there's a thing called a lectionary. That's like this Bible reading pattern that a lot of churches tend to use. Basically gives you a structure for your year, that kind of thing. Runs on a 3-year cycle for some. In almost every week, one of the readings will have that resurrection word. Because anytime Jesus, even if it's not a death, but even saying to someone, get up, stand up, or he rose and said this, that anastasis word shows up. So it's kind of cool that that's just a part of so many weeks in that church year, and you're reading it more than you realize. No,
that's something we need to hear each week. Is that yeah, is a word of encouragement to get up and to know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
We need to be reminded.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that this has been a good reminder to you of this resurrection that you literally just worshipped and experienced a couple days ago. So it probably didn't need reminding quite this fast, but
we're really thinking about it as we're approaching it today. So yeah,
that's right. It's surrounding our life right now, but that's good. So we'll continue to look at what this means for us, the impact of the resurrection. We heard Aaron preach one for all, Jesus for all of us, and it'll be interesting to see how that kind of corresponds with this conversation. I'm curious to hear that after the fact, but as we move on, we'll be seeing all these different areas that the resurrection impacts. So stay tuned, stay with us. Thanks for listening to us today, and Sam, thank you for being part of the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks for conversating.
I was gonna say, isn't it? Yeah. So thanks for having me on, and yeah.
Hey, he is risen.
He is risen indeed.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
See ya.